In this video, let's talk about the power of focus. Focus is extremely powerful in our life. Whatever we focus on, that's what we see. What we're seeing, that's what we're experiencing. A lot of us don't really like what we're experiencing in life. So it makes you question, well, what are you actually focused on? If we're experiencing a lot of negativity in our life, well, chances are we're focused on the negativity. If we're experiencing a lot of positivity in our life, chances are we're focused on the positivity. So that's how powerful focus is, really simplistically. What we're focused on, we're like a camera. What we focus on, right? Like a photographer is going to focus on the subject. Well, that's what is then seen in the image, right? Just like in our life. Whatever we're focused on, that's what we're seeing. What we focus on, that's where our energy goes, right? Because that's where we're placing our attention. Okay, so we've got this infinite field of awareness, and what we focus that awareness on, that's where we're directing all of our energy. So you can also say that what we focus on, we're creating. If we're focused on negativity, we're creating more negativity. If we're focusing on the positivity, we're creating more positivity. So that's another thing. Now, if you're in business, if you've got a relationship, if you got kids, you can see this is very practical. With your kids, what are you focused on? Are you focused on their shortcomings? Are you focused on how they're not measuring up to other kids in school? Are you focused on where they should be at a intellectual level in their education compared to other kids? See, that's what, again, if we're focusing on that, we're seeing other kids as up here and then our own kids down here. For business, if we're focusing on failure, the possibility of failure, if we're focusing on worry, if we're focusing on doubt, if we're focusing on the fear, we're creating more of it. So that's how powerful focus is. And if you can direct your focus into one area, let's say you have a business or whatever you're trying to create, and you're focusing that all of your attention into one specific area, let's say of your life, building a business, launching a new product or service, then if you can maintain that focus, then you're also saying no to everything else. Everything else is not focused. It's out of focus. Just like a camera. When a photographer shoots a headshot of the subject, the man or the woman, they're the subject, and it's a headshot, they're focusing on the eyes, right? They get super sharp and focus in on the eyes. And because they're focused so much on the eyes and the subject, everything else in the background becomes out of focus. And this is what you can do in your life by focusing your attention into one thing. Then you're creating that one thing. But to create that, you have to be basically making everything out of focus. What we get into in life is we're not able to focus. We're not able to create that one-pointed focus into one thing and become very laser focused and just direct it. What we're doing is we're focus. We're moving the focus. It's like the photographer that doesn't actually lock onto the subject, but instead tree, car, fire hydrant, grass, path, tree, building, cloud, sky, subject, tree, cloud. Tree. They're all over the place. And it's always moving. But if we can focus onto one area, whether that be the business that you're creating or the project that you're launching or whatever it is, the job that you want, whatever it is if we can have that single pointed focus, then we're also having the discipline to say no to everything else, which is going to basically bring it out of focus, which then we can then maintain that focus over a long period of time, right? And we're creating that, whatever we're creating. So it's very powerful. It's very powerful. This actually works the opposite way as well, is that if we're focused on the negativity, the positivity is out of focus, right? And then we're creating more and more of that negativity, right? And that's all we're seeing, right? We're focusing, let's make it practical. We're focusing on the negativity that the news, different media sources, they're programming us with negativity, and we're focusing on the negativity. So that's what we see, because then we're so focused on the negativity that we actually start looking for that negativity in our lives. We see it on TV, and then we start looking, oh my God, it's all over the place. It's there. And then that's all we focus on. And because we're so focused on the negativity, we're blind to the positivity. So it's extremely powerful. So we have to become aware of what we're focusing on. And simply, if we're just asking ourselves, what am I focusing on at this point? Or when we're feeling these emotions, what am I focusing on? Right? Then we can start seeing that perhaps if our experience isn't what we want it to be in life, if it's not a great experience, if we're not enjoying life, we're not enjoying the experience of life, well, ask yourself, what are you focused on? What are you focusing on? Are you focusing on problems, or are you focusing on possibilities? Most people focus on problems. And they focus on problems, so then they create more problems. If you focus on possibilities, you create more possibilities. Right? So that's how powerful focus is. And there's many, smaller applications like I just gave you there. Relationships, business. Let's talk about relationships. If we're focusing on you could say really in reality, there's no flaws. The flaws of your partner, the flaws of the other in the relationship, then that's all you're seeing. Why not see the good? Focus on the good and you'll see the good. When you see the good, you'll create more good. If we focus on the bad, we see the bad and we start creating more bad. And if you're in a relationship with someone, why would you focus on the bad? Why would you focus on the flaws? Because that's all you see. And then, like I said, is what's out of focus is the good. So it's like we don't see that. We're missing. Focus is something that's very it's like when we focus there's something, the totality is here, and then we're so focused, laser focus. And then because we concentrate on that focus, there's also like a magnification effect that happens. It's like we can't see anything else. Like a photographer, when they focus, it's like they zoom in, right? It's like they focus on something and then they can zoom in to whatever they're focused on, and everything else becomes just the bokeh, the blur effect. And that's how our focus works, right? The focus with our awareness, the focus with our attention, not just our eyes. I'm not talking about the physical eyes focusing. I'm talking about the spiritual eye, your awareness. So with your awareness, what you're putting that awareness on, are you aware of the positive? Because if we're not aware of the positive, we don't experience that positive. If we're only aware of the negative, and that's all we're focusing on is the negative, that's all we're experiencing, and then we're creating more negative to then experience more. And this is kind of like this loop until we switch our focus. We need to shift our focus. And it's easier said than done, but that's essentially what happens is we shift the focus. This is kind of what people say when they have a new perspective. They're having a new perspective. They've shifted their focus from one thing to the other. And then there's a feeling of oh my goodness, I can see the good. But really what actually changed, it's not like things changed. The good was always there. It's we just shifted our focus from the negative to the positive. We shifted from the destructive to the creative. We can see this. A lot of these, what we experience as negative emotions, fear, anger, jealousy, hate, guilt, shame. These are negative. These are negative emotions. But we create it. We create a lot of these negative emotions when we're so focused on them. And we actually focus, it kind of works backwards because we focus on not wanting to experience them. So we suppress them. And we're storing them. And then whenever we're feeling them arise, we focus on that. I don't want to feel that. Push it down. So we become overly focused on the negative things. We can see this again, another example with negative self-talk. Negative self-talk is very destructive. We even hear people, they say things like, I hate myself. Oh, I hate myself for doing that. I hate myself. That's destructive. How can you be well? How can we experience well-being with that type of talk? Why aren't we talking to ourselves like we are our best friend? Who would want to keep around a friend that continues to say, I hate you, I hate you? Why don't we see it like that? You wouldn't want to be friends with someone who constantly says, I hate you. Yet a lot of us experience this type of negative self-talk. I hate myself for that. I'm an idiot. I'm not good enough. Right? This is the destructiveness. So there needs to be a shift. What we focus on, or why we focus on that negative self-talk. There's a part in us that seems to enjoy that. That's the ego. That's really keeps us in those negative loops. So there needs to be an awareness of becoming aware of that negative self-talk. And there needs to be a shift of the focus. There needs to be a shift in focus. And then as we grow and evolve more and more, we can shift that focus. Instead of the content, we shift the focus to the context, the space. You could say that the content, the thoughts are happening within. We shift from the chatter of the mind to the silence that surrounds the chatter, the silence that the chatter is arising out of. This is extremely powerful because as we evolve further and further, that's what actually happens. That's everyone's destiny, is that the awareness becomes aware of itself. And that's actually what enlightenment is. But practically in our lives, because we're not there yet, most of us, is we can just shift the focus by being aware of what we're focusing on. If I'm focusing on this teacup and that's all I see. But if I'm aware that I'm focusing on this teacup and I give myself the possibility to focus on something else, then I'm not so gripped to it. I'm not so locked into it. It's like, oh, there's another possibility. I can look at something else in the room. Okay, let me look at the computer. Wow. And then there's what a different experience this is. That's how a lot of us experience a lot when we're locked into that negativity and we shift from that negative to a positive. It's like, wow, it's like it totally transforms the relationship. But what is it? It's just a shift in focus. We experience this with gratitude. When we're focused on what we don't have and what's missing in our life, what are we focusing on? Right? We're focusing on what's missing, what's lacking. We're focusing on lack. Once we start becoming thankful, once we start becoming grateful, as a consequence of focusing on what we do have. So instead of focusing on what I don't have, I focus on what I do have. Instead of focusing on what I'm not, I focus on what I am. That's what I mean. It's a very simple shift. Easier said than done because there's a lack of awareness. But hopefully it's a video like this that can make you become more aware to focus on what you are. Focus on what you are, not focus on what I'm not. Most of us focus on what I'm not. We focus on what other people are. And then we say, they're that, but I'm not that. I need to become that. Meaning that I'm not that already. Meaning I'm not looking at what actually I am. We're all unique. Unique expressions of the one. But when I'm not focused on that unique expression and I want to become something else, I want to become someone else, I want to become something I'm not, then you see this creates a lot of problems. How can I become something I'm not? You can't. How can I become someone else? I can't. This is what creates a lot of problems in our life. But it's being in denial. It's rejecting what I am. It's not focusing on what I am. When you focus on what you are, then there's gratitude that comes. Because it's what actually exists, what you are, instead of what you're not, which is what is not existing. Likewise, when you focus on what you have, most people who are ungrateful, it's because they're focusing on what they don't have. And what they experience in life is lack. Because it's what I don't have. I wish I could have a pizza. There's no pizza here. I'm lacking a pizza. It's what I don't have. But when I shift the focus on, what do I do have? Well, I've got tea. Right? I've got sunshine. I have my health. Right? You go through the list. There's too many things to list here. Right? But you're focusing on that. Then you can be grateful because there's something there to be grateful for. I can't be grateful for a pizza. I don't have a pizza. Right? So it's that shift. And you see, was it actually something new? No, because the tea's here and my health is here. So it's a simple shift in focus from something that's not here to something that is here, which then creates the feeling of gratitude. So hopefully with those simple, practical examples, we can see how powerful focus really is. Focus from creating what you want in life. Focus on shifting from negative to positive. Focus on lack. Instead of focusing on lack, we shift that focus to what we have, which creates a experience of abundance. So we shift from lack to abundance, shift from negativity to positivity, shift from destruction to creation. This is how powerful focus is.